Hello and welcome back to Reddit League Season 5, Week 8, Europe. Now, obviously, to the surprise of absolutely no one, I lost last week's game against Basement, which puts me in a pretty precarious situation. And now my last two games are Europe against Nimrif and Canada against Raidman. Well, it's not looking great. And I think from looking at the matchups, I do need at least 2 points in Europe. I want at least two, but ideally I want 3 points in Europe. If I get 3 points in Europe, I should be fine. Just because actually, well, it depends on what Basement and Bulgur get in Europe as well. But it kind of automatically put a loss on their name, which just isn't true. They can just as well get wins here too, unfortunately. But yeah, so if I can get a win here against Nimrif, that would be very, very helpful. Because, like, purely based on total score, especially if you look down here, I am ahead of everyone behind me currently. So as long as I don't fall like 1 point behind, I'm fine. As long as I don't drop like 15,000 points in Canada or something. But yeah, whatever. So purely based on total score, we're good. As long as it doesn't come to tiebreaker with Nimrif or, Pluki could be close. So it really is a matter of I need the points now. Canada is okay, but Europe is kind of like my best chance against Nimrif. And if I don't get the points here, I think I'm already pretty much confirmed in the relegation playoff game. I should be fine concerning like Verdok. It's 4 points of a lead. I don't think I'm gonna drop the ball that much that he would make up 5 points because again, total score wise, he's nowhere close. And Verdok would need to win both games essentially. And I don't think that's super likely to happen. He plays Basement this week and then Nimrif next week. It's not impossible. Yeah, that's part of the annoying problem as well. That Verdok and Basement play each other, and then next week it's Bulgur and Basement. So a lot of points will be given out to those people behind me. So almost like my best chance is, well, ideally, I would overtake Nimrif this week with a win. That would put me on 12 points. Nimrif, I don't know. He can have a bonus point. I'd rather not, but he can have one. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. That would put him on 10 or 11. And then Pluki, let me just have a look. He's playing against Raidman, so he's losing that. So he's staying on 11 or 12, depending on bonus points. So I'd go ahead of him too with a win. And then we've got Basement, who is playing against Verdok. So imagine Basement wins that. Then he's going on 12 as well. And I unfortunately can already tell you because I know that Bulgur won against Orpheus. So Bulgur is going on 11, which is just going to be insane because then we'd have, assuming I win, which, but assuming I win, this is sort of the best case scenario. It'll be me on 12, and then realistically, like, say, Pluki on 11, Nimrif on 11, Basement on 12, Bulgur on 11. But it would put me in 5th, I think. And then, in the last week, it would mean that Mr. Blue needs to beat Pluki. That would be the ideal. If that doesn't go that way, if Pluki wins that makes it much more difficult. Verdok Nimrif would be nice if Verdok wins that, but yeah. I mean, one of them would stay behind me for sure. Bulgur Basement, I don't even know what would be better here. They draw with like 2 points each. I don't know. And with 2 points, I mean GeoGuessr points, not actual table points. Orpheus box, it doesn't matter. Literally don't care. And me against Raidman, obviously. My one goal is to maybe snatch a bonus point, but I would have to have a really good performance. I don't know how good everyone else is in Canada. I don't know how difficult the seed will be. So yeah, that's essentially the situation. It's looking very rough, and the the lack of ability in Volvo dealerships and the lack of luck in Australia and Russia with my opponents comes back to haunt me. Because yeah, that one round in Volvo dealerships. If I found that, I'd have 3 points more. If I had most other opponents in Russia or Australia, I might have 2 points more each. I think anything else was sort of expected. Poland, I got a sort of a perfect draw. Jordan was a good win. That was fine. Hard World was never going to be a thing. Idaho, I didn't have too good of a score and I got a bonus point. That's fine. When a draw, I think, not a bonus point. So anything else is fine. Just Volvo dealerships, Australia, and Russia is where a bit of bad luck comes in. But everyone's kind of having bad luck in some stages, apart from Boxer, of course, he doesn't. So yeah, I think I've talked enough. Let's get into the game.
Okay, European diversity. Let's go. Okay, the L7208. That should be Ireland. If I'm not mistaken, could be the UK. No, it's Ireland. Okay, go. Quicker. To hopefully a sign eventually. What are you telling me? Interesting. Let me try the other direction. I don't think the L specifically, the L roads specifically have any kind of system. Although, like, if it comes down to it, and I find nothing else, I'd probably go in the area where the R700 somethings are. I really have to. Okay, the L6. Wait, what is it? Galway County Council. Thank you, that's a good start. I don't know how big Galway County is. So we'll look for further clues. Let's see. I feel like a town name would already be some good information. I could look for that. Whether I'd want to or not, or whether I should is a different matter. Killerin Unity. That might be a town. Still rather find something else, but with a minute and a bit to go, the chances of finding something else, I don't know how big they are. Okay. Thought that might have a town name on it, but it didn't. I know it feels somehow coastal for some reason. Major junction ahead. Please let me get to it then. R332 and N63. What's Roscommon? R332. This one. Unfortunately, I don't think the small roads are named, but this has got to be that junction. Yes. Okay. God. Could very well be this. Let's check. That fits. Is there a small little river here? There is a little bridge, so yeah, that could be a small little stream. I could see it. Is there a bus station? A bus stop? Yeah, that's fine. Good. Round number 2. Okay. Italy. Wait, that's a... No. Here's something. Probably not helpful, actually. Italy wasn't on the list of countries that I would have wanted, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be something. SP4? 5. Okay. It's kilometer 3. So maybe I should go back and try the other way. Let me just get to the next kilometer marker just to make sure I'm traveling in the right direction. Because getting to kilometer 0 seems like the smartest play here. It's just a question of, can I travel 3 kilometers in the time I've got left? That was kilometer 2 that I saw. Okay, so I'm traveling in the right direction. Now I just need to hope I'm getting there. It just looks, landscape-wise, it looks like bog standard mountainous Italy, somewhere on the main island. Yeah, I can't spend too much time looking at some random signs. Need to try to make my way to the start of the road. But it's gonna be close. There was a 1 kilometer sign. I think it took me 40 seconds roughly to get to that from the 2 kilometer sign, so I should get to the 0 with about 30 seconds left maybe. And I need some good information there, otherwise it's just gonna end up being, oh, God damn it, a random guess somewhere in Italy. Quick check. Terni? Somehow seems familiar, but Labro, Madonna della Luce. Terni and Rieti. Sound familiar, but there's Terni, there's Rieti. Okay. Madonna della Luce. The SP5. Where would that be? Can't see one. That road? Wait. Came from the east. At 1.2 kilometers. Honestly, I'll take it. Yeah. Ah, Strada Provinciale 5. Okay. That's fine. I'll take that, definitely. Round 3. Okay, ideally, I'd like to get onto that road. Okay. Can't read from here. Can't read that either. I feel like the other direction is more promising. Somewhere in Spain or Portugal. I feel like more likely to be Spain. It's questionable whether I'll find anything this way. I'd hope so. I don't want to sit there for 2 minutes and try to somehow get on the highway. Not sure it would work. A more reliable way, but that doesn't mean there's any info here. Okay, it's Portugal. From that, I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. Alaya. Alpedrina Valera. None of them ring a bell. That sign. That might be good. Castello Branco. Okay. Thank you. That helps. Okay. Then the N18 towards Fundao. Alpedrinha is here. Was it this? No, it was this, wasn't it? Okay. Me back. Went west and went slightly south, and then I had sort of like a split up. Neither of them, really. Okay. I thought it would be that. Okay. Other idea. Running out of time. What's something Novo? Castello Novo. Wait. Is it... Yeah, it's this. It's this. It's this. Yep, because that's over to Castello Novo, which is this intersection right here. And that has the split up that I wanted, but I'm actually over on this side. And there's that split up. Yes. Whew, okay. So far, so good. Round 4. Okay, we're back in Portugal near Faro. And Faro on the 125. Okay. That hotel, Maria Nova Lounge Hotel. There is a river through here. This, the Algarve, Reno de Algarve, Avira, Maria Nova Lounge Hotel, yes. Do we have anything else we need from this? Anything to make sure? There's this thing, parking, whatever. Not really interesting. What do we have? Maybe the street name. Rua João Vasco de Real? Yes, absolutely. Just to make absolutely sure. There we go. And one more, please. Oh, yes, nice. Okay. Lagesti Kotnari 281C. Right, so the 200s are generally over in that direction. 250s, 240s, 207, 282, 280, 281C. There you go. Kotnari. There's Kotnari. It's 14 kilometers to the east, and Blagesti is 8 to the west. Okay. And this one is Toriresti 2.5. It should be here. Can I check to make sure? Go north here. We have a little curve. Is it here, actually? That doesn't match the curve. Then we're going pretty much straight east. Yeah, just come on. Game, please. There's a nice horse there. I'm going to sort of going south again. Let me put it here for now. Goes pretty straight south. Just want to be absolutely sure. Let's see. Straight south, and then it makes, yep, that curve. Then we should get to an intersection with the 122 south, which I'm not sure if it'll be written there, but just the existence of the road would be enough for me to absolutely be sure. Hope it's there somewhere. I might have clicked past it. I can't really tell. No, it's this. Yep. This road. That's a dirt road if I've ever seen it, but yeah, it has to be here. There's no way it isn't. Check. It's way 2. I have the time. Yeah. Yes, it has to be. Yeah, there we go. All right. Okay. I'm really happy about that. It was a very easy seed, like, don't get me wrong. It was just, Italy is really cutting it close. You gotta probably recognize Terni, which isn't too difficult, and I'm assuming most Division 1 players would. But other than that, yeah, that's a bit tricky because Strada Provinciale 5 doesn't show up as an SP5 in blue, but it's just written text. But yeah, other than that, what were the other rounds? Round 1, yeah, an island. I mean, if you go the right direction and make it here, then everything should be easy. If you go the wrong direction, it might depend on you finding or looking at those signs that said Galway Council. Because otherwise it could get tricky, I think. But yeah, this way obviously is a very easy round. Then round 3, round 3 and 4 in Portugal. This one can get tricky again if you go the wrong way. Maybe if you go south here and you wouldn't go to the north, maybe it's a bit trickier. But overall, also, if you go the same way that I did, it shouldn't be a problem. Round 4 is a joke. We don't even need to talk about that. And round 5 is also very easy, especially because we've had Romania in Reddit League last season. For some of the newcomers, I mean, I'm playing against Nimrith. So, well, he played it in the preseason, so what am I saying? Everyone's played Romania somewhat. So that also shouldn't be a problem. I have my doubts about whether that'll be top 50% of the division, but overall, I'm super happy with it. I've at least secured a point, which is all I could wish for. I've done my job, and now it's out of my hands. And we've only got one more week to go next week in Canada. All right. See you in a second when we talk about the other seeds. The other seeds, starting with Division 5. And I'm going to say, I think all of them were more difficult than the Division 1 seeds as a whole. The other seeds definitely had easy rounds in there, some of them even very easy, but most of them had at least one tricky round in there. And same scenarios here with the Division 5 seed, which started off in up there in Finland, in a round that probably wasn't too tricky for a 5-minute game, and a 3-minute game could be pretty rough, movement-wise not the best, but I did eventually find a sign that gave me the distance to both Kavia and I think it was Jalasjärvi. And I then decided after, I think it was about 3 minutes, that I'd just scanned a map, because I think it was like 26 and 16 kilometers or something in that ballpark. So I went and looked for them, and they stood out. I mean, you can see it here. It's not too quickly, but at a decent zoom level, and it wasn't too difficult to find. And obviously in Finland, you kind of have road names at every little intersection that has a name. So with the road name there, it was pretty easy to pinpoint. Round 2, then, I couldn't quite pinpoint down there in Sardinia, because I just, well, basically I ran out of time at the end, but I would have potentially had enough time. I did make my way south here. I knew we were in Onify, or at least that's where I've made my way to. I'm not entirely sure. I think I saw a sign towards Noro. I was pretty convinced, I think, that we were in Sardinia anyway. And then I found Nuoro, and then I just looked for Onify and found that eventually. And then I just couldn't quite remember the way I traveled to get there, because it was a pretty far distance, and I knew I'd come from somewhere up here. I think it was here that I hit the SP25. So I knew I'd come from somewhere over there, but then I couldn't remember if I'd gone up here or up there or up here or wherever, and I just didn't have the time to properly check. So at the end, I knew I started next to sort of like a intersection like this. Again, excuse me, the full shape of it, I couldn't quite get a clear picture. It was some sort of tri-road intersection. That doesn't really make sense, but you know what I mean. Then round 3 and 4 were fairly easy. Round 3 in Iceland, in sort of downtown Reykjavik. No problem there. I probably even took a little bit longer than I should have. But once you recognize you're in Reykjavik, and I made my way up here to the north, and this sort of section of the road in Reykjavik is very recognizable. So I instantly knew, okay, I must be somewhere down here. And then just you look for the road names, and it's not much of an issue. And then round 4 was in Czechia. It looks much more difficult than it actually was. Like you zoom in and you're like, well, this is in the middle of nowhere. How did you get that in 43 seconds? But then you go into the game and you're like, well, where is it? There's a sign for the 349 here, but that wasn't. There it was. This sign. Right next to the start. that gives you the distances to the towns as well. And with that, you're on the 349, you have the distances to the towns there. It's a fairly straightforward round to find. And to pinpoint as well, obviously, because you are on another intersection similarly to the one in Sardinia. Then in round 5, I had a complete blackout, I think, because there isn't exactly much in the way of information that is instantly like realizable or knowable, as in Jesus, as in that this would get you further. But for some reason, and I'm glad I had this because otherwise I might have messed up in the Division 1 seed as well. For some reason, I had it in my mind that the blue roads weren't like unique, but they totally are. It's the yellow roads in Romania that aren't unique. But so I knew we were on the 106L. I just never looked for it because my mind was like, don't do this. And yeah, eventually I just made a relatively good guess based on the landscape. But yeah, that was just dumb. Glad that happened in the Division 1 seed. That didn't happen in the Division 1 seed. The Division 4 seed, again, you can see down there, similarly, 4 fairly easy rounds, 1 a bit more difficult, and 1 more difficult round, or I just messed up. Looking at it, kind of a mix of both, but round 1 started off in Czechia again. 2 minutes 6, again, one of the easier rounds of the seed, near Ronov nad Dubravo. Again, I'm pretty sure I recognized the 337, so I'm pretty sure that was what I saw to narrow down the general area. And then there was signs and distances towards town. Sleby is one I remember. I don't remember any of the others really, but yeah, this feature here makes it pretty easy to pinpoint as well, next to a small church. Round 2 then in Switzerland, and there was a sign. We were kind of a bit in the middle of nowhere, but there was a sign that mentioned we're in the municipality of Worb, and it's 64 kilometers towards Lucerne. But I'm pretty sure it said 64 kilometers to the south. Or to the north? I don't remember. Either way, this is not an area I was expecting it to be. I pretty much spent like 2.5 minutes looking for Worb somewhere. I just could not find it. I had Rufenacht as well there, but obviously Worb shows up earlier. And just apparently right outside of Bern. Didn't see a sign towards that, of course. So, yeah. Just couldn't find it. Then round 3 was in Malta. A fairly easy round again. Sort of still not quite sure what city that belongs to. There were a couple of signs here for Rabat, but Dina maybe. Imtafa, difficult to tell. It was a fairly straightforward round though. Not much problems there, pinpointing wise as well. There actually wasn't, funnily enough, because usually you have street names everywhere in Malta, but this name wasn't there anywhere. So I just had to go off, okay, this intersection and, this street. Round 4 was then in Latvia. And yeah, another not too difficult round. What did I have? I had the distance to Gulbene and Rejekne. I definitely had those. What else did I have? I'm not quite sure. Must have had... Oh, the river, right. The Bolupa River is what I had at the start. That made pinpointing very, very straightforward. I had was the distances to Gulbene and Rejekne as well. So yeah, I knew we were somewhere in this area, and then obviously with the river makes it straightforward. And then round 5 was in France. And I actually did end up getting really close to it. I just, again, ran out of time a bit at the end because it took me, let's say, about 3 minutes to find, or not necessarily, I found it quicker. I just realized it that it actually said something sur Seine. So it would probably be a smart idea to just follow the Seine down throughout France and just try and see if I can spot the village somewhere. Because for a lack of any better solution, essentially. I knew we were in the department of Orb as well. Usually I feel like in France, there's like, I don't know, like 70 departments. There's way too many departments to check every single one for the name. So I thought, checking the river made more sense. And I did end up finding Mairie-sur-Seine. And I remembered we were in a town called Drup something, but I mistook it for this one instead of that one. So slight wrong road there. Has similar features actually, that road, so it didn't immediately make me suspicious, but yeah, close enough, I think. Then the Division 3 seed. Again, 4 fairly easy, straightforward rounds and Greece. Though, to be fair on this one, that is definitely a round that's gettable. It's just the Latin spelling of the city name here had an H at the start of it for some reason. It was called Hermopoli instead of Ermopoli. That pronunciation is probably nowhere near. But that's why you see how quickly that shows up. But even if I had seen it, which I might have done out of the corner of my eye or something, I wouldn't have made that connection just because the H isn't there. Maybe should have looked at the Greek spelling of the name as well, just to check if it was there. I don't know if the city has changed names or anything either, but yeah, so I didn't find it. No idea, basically. Then round 2 was in Czechia, as apparently every seed does. Plenty of rounds in Czechia. What did I find here? Rimarov sort of rings a bell, so maybe that, but probably just the 445, I assume. Gorny Moravice as well to narrow it down. And then this little bridge over here. I think that's roughly how it went. I don't really remember anything else here. Round 3 was just over the border in Poland, and it took me longer than I would have liked, actually. I did need the road numbers. I did have an area code as well, but I just couldn't find Ogrodzieniec. Ogrodzieniec? I don't know. With that, because it's slightly hidden by the park as well. Yeah, so I needed the road numbers, but with those, it wasn't too difficult. And yeah, I started at an intersection here. Then round 4 was Switzerland again. This time I actually found it in town of Tentlingen, and there was a sign towards Fribourg. Don't remember how much. I think like 15 kilometers or something. And then it was fairly easy to pinpoint from there. That farm was fairly well noticeable on the map and in game, so not much issues there. And then another longer round in Istanbul, just because it took me a long time to find that road. And I think at the end it was Fatih, actually, the sort of suburb of Fatih that I found that made me look in the right area. Without that, I probably still wouldn't have been able to spot the right boulevard, but with that, it was doable. And yeah, again, sort of a loop here, which makes pinpointing fairly easy because that's a relatively unique feature of it. The Division 2 seed actually had quite a few rounds that I didn't manage to pinpoint. Started off with a very easy one up there in the north of Denmark, which did have distances to... No, I don't remember. It had distances to a couple of cities right at the start. And I think towards Hobro as well. Yeah, it had a distance towards Hobro. That's it. And I knew Hobro is big enough for me to know instantly, or like find it very quickly. And then I just had to find the smaller towns that the signs pointed to, and I just couldn't for a long, long time. That's basically why it took a minute and 16. If I could have spotted those quicker, I might have been like 30 seconds or something. But that's another fairly easy round. To prepare you for the rest that is to come, round 2 was out there in sort of western Catalonia, and I did find a sign for the C26 in Castelló de Farfanya, but I just did not necessarily know that the C roads are in Catalonia. It's not a big leap to come to that conclusion, but it took me a while to assure myself of that, and by the time I realized that that's how it is, I'd forgotten the exact number, and I didn't have the time to go back to check. So I essentially just put myself somewhere in, not too far north, not too far south, somewhere central, western Catalonia. Round 3 was then in Italy, not too far away from Grosseto, which there were signs for, and we were in the town of Pescia Romana. And I actually found other signs that were saying like, hey, you're in Montalto di Castro, but those were probably like, maybe that's a town in the municipality of Montalto di Castro, something like that. So I was checking, I was probably wasting about half a minute or so, maybe 40 seconds checking around here for a road, and then I realized, okay, we're not actually there. Which, yeah, then it was easy again. But yeah, I had plenty of time left at the end. Then round 4 in Bulgaria. I did not find anything useful. I didn't travel too far because the movement wasn't great, and either direction here looked like it wouldn't lead me anywhere anyway. So I had a couple of signs there at the start that pointed me towards different cities/towns that were like a few kilometers away. One of them was Albena down here. I don't remember what the other one was. It might have been Odazi. But yeah, just had no chance finding them. And in the end, just put it somewhere in central Bulgaria. I'll be interested to see if people can find out. Some people definitely will, but I couldn't. And then round 5 in Lithuania. And I think there, I think I just completely miscalculated distances. I had the distance towards Kamajai. I had the distance towards something else as well, that I can't remember which it was. I knew we were on the 120, and I just completely misjudged the distance. Which is why I got it so badly wrong here. But that's definitely a doable round. Which leaves us only with the next seed, which again was fairly doable. Had one round where I struggled a bit. I don't know why the flag markers showed up over my profile picture there for a second, but whatever. Round 1 in the Ukraine, not too difficult. There was a sign towards Sarny for sure, and that stands out pretty quickly. I don't actually think I found much else. Obviously, we started next to a sign that was pointed towards Polyani, so easy to pinpoint. And yeah, I think it was just that. I don't quite remember if there might have been a road number, but Sani was definitely the thing I found. Round 2 was then in Belgium. Just here in the Dutch-speaking part, Nieuwerkerken is the town that I ended up finding. And I knew it was somewhere in that area between that and Herkstad. And at the end, I just couldn't quite find the right point. I think I found the right general area with about like 10 seconds left or 15 seconds left, maybe something like that. And then I went back to the start, and I was reminded again that we started in sort of like a dead end that was open to the south, and then we went east to get to the main straight. And I found one of those, but it was just not the right one in this area. Round 3 then, the one that was the worst in this seed for me, was in Estonia actually. And yeah, I don't think I found anything in that. Nothing at all. Just a guess based on landscape, I suppose. Yeah, you do well just putting it in the center of the country here. Round 4 then was an island. Again, a round I couldn't quite pinpoint, but that was just odd a bit to me, because as you can see there, I didn't take the full time. It's not like I was running out of time. I was convinced it was this and not that. I don't know, just geometry playing tricks on me, I suppose. What was there actually? What did I find? Probably 515 for yeah, probably would have to be. I found a sign towards Charleville too. But that alone, I would have, even though it actually shows up reasonably quickly, I would have never found that, or I wouldn't have gone looking for it in the first place. But I found R515, and then to finish it off, a fairly easy round in Portugal, in sort of central Viseu, which just wasn't very difficult. This road name actually, there was a road name here which just doesn't show up on the map, which was a bit confusing. It stopped me from being any quicker, but that only added like maybe 20 seconds that I needed extra confirmation to it. And yeah, those were the other division seats. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week in the hopefully last week of the season for me, because if it isn't the last week, that means I'll probably have to play the relegation playoff. It could also be the last week, and that could be directly relegated, but I hope that won't be the case. Anyway, yeah, see you then.